Alright, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. I have decided to change the name again. It is now called Outside the Lines because there's already a podcast called 31 Thoughts. As you may see, we're not in the usual place today. That's because I have my first ever guest on this show. So, please welcome Bubba.
Bad things, funny to hell, think it's fuck, oh my god. That's my baby, Caroline, put it fine, mighty fine. Shorty really hold up pie.
Alright. Nice to be here with Bubba in Winnipeg. Nice for you to make the trip out. How are you feeling today, Bubs?
I'm good, brother, I'm good. You know, drove her in, hang out with the boys, so we're here.
We got Chomo, we got a Coors Light for you, your two favorite things.
Thank you.
So, start us off today. Your new company, Prairie Vintage.
Yeah.
You're selling some thrift clothes. You're selling
Thrift
some
clothes,
nice
hype clothes, gonna be kicks, hats, everything.
So that's everything. Go check it out, Prairie Vintage on Instagram.
Prairie Dog Vintage.
Prairie Dog Vintage. Awesome. Obviously, this is a sports podcast. So, my biggest beef with sports these days is William Nylander and his inability to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs. What's your opinion on that, Bubba?
Well, I don't know why he doesn't just sign. Like what could be the difference? Like, what could he not want?
He's 22 years old and wants $8 million.
Like, I'd take $1 million.
You know what? Why doesn't he just sign a bridge deal for $4 million a year? Like it's $4 million. You know.
Because he's European.
I think Heat Daddy said it best. If you want $8 million, just take a $6 million deal, and when you go to Vegas, throw around $2 million on black, and there you go. There's your $8 million.
There you go.
But his dad seems to be in the way too much of his contract talks. So that's what I always I don't get. Well, the NHL is why younger people are always wanting more money. My most likely options, I think, are going to be a sign and trade. Doesn't sign this year, or he plays in the KHL. He's playing in the KHL. What do you think about that? What's your opinion on him going to another league if he doesn't play this year in the NHL?
Well, I think he's going to get traded.
You think so?
I think he's getting traded this year. No. Yeah.
Well, let's sign him first.
Yeah, they're going to sign him, then they're going to trade him right away, though.
But are they going to sign him for $8 million, or are they going to sign him for less? Because he's not budging off $8 million.
They'll sign him for less. They'll make him.
You think so?
Yeah, but they'll trade him and they'll.
But he doesn't want to get traded though.
Well, it's not looking like he's wanting to sign that bad either.
Well,
if it's not for the right money, if a team's going to give him the right money, and it's not that bad, they might even give him more if that's the case. And they'll take him.
I mean, I feel like
the Leafs don't need him.
He won't budge off $8 million, but also the Leafs don't need him with the start they have. You know, so it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting scene to play out.
Yeah.
Second topic today, Tom Wilson, his suspension. Now,
That's a tough one.
He got suspended for 20 games by the NHLPA for a headshot. But Austin Watson gets 17 for beating up his girlfriend.
That's ridiculous.
I know Tom Wilson has had some previous suspensions in the NHL, and he's had some questionable, well, more than questionable hits in the playoffs last year. But 20 games for a guy looking at his skate laces coming across the middle?
The thing is with that, the big hitters, like tough guys type of thing, you know, guys that throw the body, they're obviously not every big hit they throw is going to be clean.
If you look at it, you can't say that every hit is completely clean. You're going to hit the head with some part of your body. I think that he did him in the head, but 20 games for a guy cutting across the middle.
And I guarantee he wasn't trying to hit him in the head. Like, no one's trying to do that unless it's something ridiculous. But like, he wasn't trying to. Obviously, he's trying to like kill the guys and just destroy him, like absolutely rock him. He's not trying to take the guy's head off though. Yeah, it was a penalty. It was suspendable, but I don't think 20 games.
I think 5.
He's known for that kind of play. Like, he's one of the big hitters in the league. Like, shit like that's gonna happen.
I think 5 would have sufficed, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just it's a ridiculous suspension, and it should have gotten at least brought down to 10 games, if not less. Speaking of suspensions, though, we go to Mike Matheson. I don't even know his name.
Don't get me started on
He's a defenseman for Florida, and he hit Elias Pettersson clean.
Best player in the game right now.
He hit him clean.
Hit the best player in the game right now.
He threw him to the ice, and then he didn't even hit his head, but he didn't hit. Matheson didn't hit Pettersson's head, but Pettersson hit his head on the ice, resulting in a concussion. Okay. I'll let you take it over.
Pettersson, probably my favorite player right now, so I'm a little bit biased, but I got a good point. I got a good statement.
It is Mike Matheson, by the way.
I got a good statement right here. Pettersson is absolutely filthy. Great player, absolutely filthy player. Like, disgustingly filthy.
No,
19-year-old.
No disagreements there.
Yeah. What happened? He absolutely...
Rookie of the year for sure.
Oh, yeah. Easily. He's going to be top 10 in scoring if he comes back here soon at least. He'll be top 10 in scoring.
Okay.
Canucks are winning the cup. Bold statement. Bold statement.
No way.
Okay, but what... He absolutely broke Matheson's ankles. Broke them. Whatever, went behind the net, played or whatever. Matheson kind of pissed, chased him, hit him, pinned him, whatever, fine. Nothing wrong. Gave him a push, whatever. But what I don't like is how he got him off balance. Obviously, Pettersson's what, 160, 170?
Maybe
19-year-old kid, yeah. Obviously, what's Matheson? 6'3", 200 something?
Well, let's look him up right here.
6'3", 200 something. I'm going 6'3", 217 is my guess.
6'2", 193.
That'll do.
It's still a pretty big guy.
But he absolutely throws him to the ice, like chucks him
right down the ice,
like as hard as he can, like not a push to the ice. Literally,
we're talking
comes
about
back and literally chucks him.
Open-handed throwdown. So like.
And yeah, I know that happens. If he would have hit him in the head,
that does not happen.
No, but like,
no, sir, it doesn't happen.
But like, I can understand if it's the guy same size as you, but you're literally manhandling a kid, basically. Like, exactly. People are going to argue, well, he shouldn't be in the league then if he can't handle himself, like for Pettersson.
He should be in the league, though.
He should. He's skilled enough. The league's going farther out of body contact and all that stuff.
The league is becoming smaller and smaller every year as concussions
faster and skilled.
And injuries have become more relevant. And you hardly ever see fighting in hockey anymore.
So I like that stuff, but I don't like that he tried to absolutely throw him through the ice. Like the intent to injure, I hate that. I'm a little bit biased.
He said there was no intent, but I don't believe that they're on a play like that. That
he would have been so pissed.
That doesn't just come exactly. That doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to have some sort of built-up anger for that. So that's. I think 2 games wasn't enough. I think he should have gotten more. You take, especially being a rookie. You know, you're trying to promote the NHL to European and other leagues, other places, and you have one of the best European prospects possibly to come into the NHL in the 2010 era, and people over there going like, okay, so I'm going to get thrown to the ice and concussed and possibly a season-altering, possibly even career-altering injury for a guy for a guy who had beef with me. It is like that's not sending a good image to the rest of the world.
Well, I mean, the thing about that is, first off, I think 2 games was enough. Honestly.
Well, Pettersson missed 3 though.
The thing is, if Pettersson was heavier type of thing, that probably wouldn't have happened.
You think so?
But, well, yeah, like Matheson's not gonna throw the same size guy to the ice that hard.
You see McAvoy's hit on Gaudreau?
Well, yeah, but that's kind of the same
thing. Do you
think
that happens if Gaudreau's different size?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, McAvoy's still going to go for the hit, but the outcome's not going to be the same. That's not what I'm saying. Matheson probably would have tried to do the same thing, but that would have never happened and we wouldn't be talking about it right now. What I'm saying is, he tried to hurt Pettersson.
Yeah, exactly.
He tried
there was intent to injure.
So, 2 games, I think, is enough for that, because, I don't know, has Matheson been suspended before?
No. I don't believe so.
I guess it's enough.
He got fined for diving once, I know that.
The thing about it, I think it's enough games, but
for me, in my opinion, in that sort of a context, you look at Mike Matheson. He was picked 23rd overall in 2012, but he hasn't really played that many NHL games. So for a first rounder who hasn't really come out of his shell yet, he's not really important to the team. Like he's important to the team, but he's not known. Like Elias Pettersson was probably a clear shot Calder Trophy winner before the start of the year.
And especially
he was proving it throughout the season. And Matheson is a top 4 defenseman on Florida. So with me, you go like what's the fair trade here? You know, you take Mike Matheson, who's really that kind of a nobody in the NHL, and Elias Pettersson, who's a Calder Trophy candidate, and it's a great trade-off for Florida. So I think that for a hit like
really for
a hit like that, for the rest of the league, for the entire Western Conference, for any team in Florida's in Vancouver's division.
Well, that stuff is going to happen in the league, which sucks. But
I think that on a hit like that, your suspension should be however long the player's out for.
I don't think so.
I think that should be a reasonable.
Because say you hit a guy and you run him and it's charging or whatever.
I'm saying like with intent to injure, like Matheson.
Yeah, I guess.
If it's just an open ice hit, that's good. A normal suspension is fine because that's just a hockey play. That wasn't the hockey play.
Yeah, I guess you're.
In my opinion.
But I don't agree with the amount of games the guys out he should do.
Yeah.
Guys can milk that. You can.
The league can look at it and say, hey, you know, make sure.
The league's made some wrong decisions.
The team can't run tests then. The league has to run tests.
Yeah.
And the league definitely wouldn't favor Florida or Vancouver. They don't bring in much revenue much anymore ever since those riots. Moving on. Bubba's a Canucks fan, by the way. Moving on to a new segment called Studs and Duds. We're going to talk about. We got 2 studs, and we got 2 duds. And we're going to talk about which teams have really impressed us out of the gates and which teams haven't, obviously. So we're going to go 2 studs first. Bubba, why don't you start?
First stud is I'm going to Elias Pettersson.
Okay.
Yeah, probably my favorite player right now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite player now.
Okay.
Like I'm getting a Pettersson jersey ASAP. I don't care.
Obviously.
Pissed that he wasn't able to play because of the concussion though.
Mm-hmm.
Went to see the Jets Canucks last night.
They lost, by the way. Jets won 4-1.
Okay. Pissed I couldn't see him play, but that's alright. I'll catch another one. I'll see him play, but out of the gate, goal per game average. What's the
point per game?
Nope, goal.
Really?
It was goal.
Okay.
Till he got hurt. He has 5 goals.
He didn't have 5 goals.
He had 5 goals.
Okay, what else is you impressed about him?
What's he have?
Oh, he's goal per game.
5 goals.
It's impressive.
3 assists. Rookie, 19-year-old out of the gate for Vancouver, which wasn't expected to be a candidate for top half of the league even. So that's unreal. So that's my first stud for sure.
All right. Your second stud?
You go first, stud.
All right, I'll go my first stud. I'm gonna go kind of out of the blue here, Morgan Riley. I think that with how much he's taken in Toronto over the last few years, you know, taking up all the minutes and especially minutes against top lines and stuff like that, his plus minus was just terrible the last couple of years. I think with what he's done with the Leafs so far, you know, I think everyone expected Matthews and Marner and all those guys to be coming out scoring for the Leafs to be good, but I didn't expect Riley to come out with the points that he has had and the stuff that he's done so far. So that's my first stud because he, you know, ever since being drafted, especially in a market like Toronto, he's been extremely underrated. And I think he'll be the next captain of the Maple Leafs, not John Tavares or Austin Matthews.
Questionable.
Second stud for you, Bubba?
Second stud, I'm going to follow your Leafs.
Okay.
Kasperi Kapanen.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Who's he playing with? Matthews and who?
Matthews and Marlowe?
Marlowe or Tavares?
Hyman. Matthews and Hyman.
Gets thrown in with them. And, like, honest.
Just a speedster. Honestly.
He's a good player, but, like, last year in the playoffs, like, I watched. He's one of those guys, what was he, 4th or 3rd line last year?
He was 4th line.
4th line grind, you know. Penalty kill time, though, I watched. A lot of chat. Like, I watched him last year in playoffs. A lot of breakaways. The finish, though?
Well, he's got to be the second fastest guy behind McDavid.
He's up there. I wouldn't say second.
I'd say second.
A lot of breakaways. No finish, though.
This year, yeah.
But now he's finishing this year, exactly.
That's the difference though last year.
That's why Nylander's becoming less and less of a big deal if Kapanen keeps playing like this.
Exactly. If Kapanen keeps playing, I think that Nylander's just kind of, and especially with a guy like John Tavares, you know, Dubas promised him that they'd sign Nylander and Marner and Matthews. But I think with Tavares and the way he's seen the situation play out, I'm not sure if he wants Nylander in the mix anymore. For me, personally, I wouldn't want a player like that on my team. Because he says he wants to be on the team, he says he wants to play hockey, but someone who would do that is definitely not a team player.
Yeah.
So I think that's, to carry on what you said, Captain.
Like with the whole Nylander thing, I understand it's his job and all that, but you're literally a millionaire, man. Like, how many millions do you need to your name?
Well, that's the thing though. Like, if he doesn't have a career-ending injury this year, he'll still make $6 million.
It's ridiculous.
And just because you get injured doesn't mean you don't get paid by the NHL. You still get some of your contract paid out. Like, he's not broke.
He could.
He's acting like this is the end of the road for him.
Yeah, he could have signed what, $6 million, whatever contract, whatever.
I think what they're offering him is 2 years, $6 million bridge deal until the next deal.
I don't know why he wouldn't take that one.
Well, that's the thing. You go Nick Ritchie, Miles Wood, Shea Theodore, all those RFAs. They all signed. Well, I know Shea Theodore signed a 7-year deal with Vegas. Miles Wood signed a 4-year deal, and then Nick Ritchie, I think, signed a 3-year deal. But they're all bridge deals to the next contract. They're all still super young, in their really early 20s, and they know they're going to get another deal, in their future. And they took a bridge deal for less money than they wanted to, but they know that if they do perform, once they get to the end of their bridge deal, they will get that payday, and they'll be worth that payday. So I think that Nylander's just being a little bit of a child in this situation. My second stud. As a team, I want to say the Montreal Canadiens. I know that I don't mind cheering for the Leafs, and that in that way I don't really care about the Leafs-Habs rivalry. Montreal has come out of the gates 4-1-1 and have surprised everyone with their play. Drew Ryan stepping up, Domi's nice fit.
What's that new kid's name?
Kotka Niemi?
Yeah. Hasn't got his first goal yet, but
playing really good
he has
though.
a couple assists though. Very skilled though.
Very skilled. Price is doing well. I just think that for them to come out of the gates like they have, it's just surprised everyone, honestly. Not really a lineup you'd think that would be a good contender, but I think with Brendan Gallagher coming through, I think he'll be the next captain, by the way. After Shea Weber, of course. Shea Weber's the new captain. Brendan Gallagher, I think he's got another 30-goal season, and he's already got 4 goals this year, so that's definitely impressive. Paul Byron just signed his nice contract over the summer. I think he really deserved that. I think he'll be a good third line center. But up and down, it's just a lot of depth, honestly. When you look at players like Placanitz, Philippe Danault, Charles Hudon, that new guy, Kotka Niemi, Letkinen, Joel Armia, it's just a bunch of depth players that don't really have a big name in the NHL. But sometimes those are the best teams.
Yeah.
So,
like in Vegas.
Well, yeah, exactly. Look at Vegas last year, Cup final.
Yeah.
Not going to go back to Cup finals this year, though. I'd be surprised if they made the playoffs this year. I think that they lost too many key players, and that William Karlsson won't have the year that he had last year.
Oh, it's just a crazy.
And with Stastny being out for as long as he will be, that's. Anyways, moving on to our first dud.
The NHL, whatever you call that, disciplinary, whatever you call them.
The NHLPA.
Yeah.
The NHL something, whatever.
The whole Austin Watson situation there, with the suspension.
And the Tom Wilson thing.
Yeah, the differential in the suspension and how many games for each
the NBA
situation.
And the NFL and the MLB have all taken domestic violence by the throat and have really cracked down on it. Like Roberto Osuna, 75 games. That was a good suspension, I feel. They're suspending minor league players who have absolutely no relevance to the MLB for like 100 games because it's not acceptable. Same with the NFL, same with the NBA. But the NHL decides 27 games isn't enough for beating up somebody. They're going to reduce it to 17. I think that's not even a quarter of the season. I think it's
That's ridiculous.
I think it is ridiculous, and I think that Austin Watson should have gotten 27 games. Should have gotten more. Yeah, at least half. Like Rafi Torres hits Marian Hossa, and gets 47 games. But Austin Watson commits a felony, and gets 17. I think that's ridiculous.
It's just not right.
It's not right. My first dud is the St. Louis Blues. They have started out 1-3-2 for 4 points. They're not playing good at all. Their goaltending situation is up in the air. They're a potential playoff team every year, but they lose in the first round every year to Chicago. It seems like every year. I just don't think the Blues are structured enough as a team. I know that when you guys got like Brayden Schenn and Tarasenko, David Perron's back, but I just don't think that they're structured as a playoff team and that they won't do very well this season. I'm not even sure if they're going to make the playoffs, honestly. Why don't you go ahead and give us your second dud, Bubba?
Sorry, Bruce. New York Rangers.
Yeah.
New York Rangers. Tough go. What do they got? 2 wins this year?
They have 2 wins this year. They're 2-4-1.
That's tough.
They're at the bottom of the Metropolitan Division.
Yeah.
I was actually going to give New York my second dud.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, they have a lot of guys, skilled guys. They got one of the best goalies. He's falling out now. He's getting old, Lundqvist, but he's still
the king, though.
He's still
pretty
them.
good.
Exactly. Lundqvist, they got all those guys.
Yeah.
Who else they got on that team?
Nothing, no one important. I know Mika Zibanejad. He's not bad. They traded McDonough.
Yeah.
They're
falling out.
Do they have Rick Nash still? Was he still in the league? I don't even know. They don't really have any big name players anymore besides Lundqvist.
It talks. Look at it.
I just
shows
don't.
it.
Exactly.
They're falling out.
And like I said in my other podcast, I know New York season's done now, but you still have the Jets, you still have the Giants, you have the Knicks season starting up, you have the Nets season starting up. And it just seems like everyone's more interested in those sports than the Rangers. No one cares about the Islanders. Islanders are just...
All they're interested to do is sign Bill Fairburn and they'll be back in action. That's all it takes. Bill Fairburn contract, 1 year. Probably make the playoffs, see what their run goes like there.
Oh my god.
That's all it takes, eh, Bruce?
Sorry, Bruce. My second dud is the LA Kings. I think that they took the right step last year in naming Anze Kopitar their new captain instead of Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown did have a resurgent year, but seeing him play this season, it doesn't look like they're going to be a playoff team. You watch them in the 2012 season, they played terrible for the first half of the season, but then they kind of turned it around, they got the 16th seed, and they won the cup. So, you just got to get in, just get into the playoffs. But I don't see the LA Kings going very far in the regular season standings so far. They're second last in the division. They're only ahead of Arizona, who is literally a nobody, who should be relocated to Quebec.
Yeah, Arizona's been a very tough goal.
What do you think about that, Bubba? What do you think? Quebec or Seattle?
Well, Seattle's getting a team.
Well, Seattle's getting a team, but should it have been Seattle or should it have been Quebec?
That's tough. Quebec's had their chance. I feel like they get another chance, they'll go fine. Cause
I think they just wanted to even out Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I guess.
Because there's 16 teams right now in the Eastern Conference. There's only 15 in the Western Conference.
But I don't know if Seattle's their choice.
I don't think Seattle's the right choice at all. I think that Quebec they had an arena built. It's up, it's functioning. They just needed a team, and why not reignite the Habs Nordiques rivalry?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of Florida. They're selling 8,700 tickets to an NHL game, and it looks friggin' empty. It's so quiet. It sounds like we're playing at a high school game.
High school games get pretty rowdy.
They do get rowdy. They get more rowdy than the Florida Panthers game, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So I think that they should just, relocate Florida to Quebec. Therefore, they're not leaving the Eastern Conference. Seattle gets their team. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one.
Another Canadian team, let's get it.
I think it'd be nice. Also evens out Canadian teams to 8.
Yeah.
All right, Bella. Moving on to another sport, baseball. Boston Red Sox just beat the Houston Nationals 4-1 on the back of Jackie Bradley Jr., who was the ALCS MVP. The ALCS is still going on. Dodgers are up 3-2 on the Brewers. What are your thoughts on the Red Sox?
good overall team. I do not think it should have been a 4-2 series win, but stuff
4-1.
4-1 series win, but stuff happens, things go wrong. But
I think here's what happened: the Astros were allegedly stealing signs from the opponents' dugouts during the playoffs, and they swept Cleveland and they won the first game against Boston. Now, after the first game against Boston, the allegations started coming in that there was a guy next to opponents' dugouts and he had a cellular device and a camera, and he was constantly texting, constantly looking into the dugout, and he was removed by stadium security during Game 1, which Houston ended up winning, of course. And then all of a sudden, Houston loses the next 4 games. I don't know if it's a coincidence or a conspiracy, but the first 4 games of the playoffs, they have alleged sign stealing. And once MLB comes in and says, okay, we're going to stop that, if there is any, they all of a sudden go 0-4. And a team like Houston does not lose 4 games in a row, especially in the playoffs, even to a team like Boston. With bets hitting like around 200, and JD Martinez not really coming out of a shell until Game 5. Obviously Jackie Bradley Jr. stepping up and getting ALCS MVP, but I think that sign stealing had a lot to do with the Red Sox winning.
But still, it's not going to have all to do with it. You don't, just because of that, you don't lose all your skill in baseball for the team. You're not just randomly going to lose.
I know, but you lose that edge though.
Well, yeah, I gave him a great edge on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but still,
But that's what I'm saying. The Boston's too good of a team to beat them without that kind of an edge.
Sure.
I think that Boston's just too much of a powerhouse, especially with their pitching
and how everyone's been playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Except for Betts. I think that there's a big debate over Betts versus Trout for AL MVP. What do you think about that? Because I think it should be Trout.
I agree.
You got 39 home runs in the regular season. Leads the league in on-base percentage and on-base plus slugging, and he leads the league. He led the American League in batting WAR, I believe. Not all over WAR, but Mets led the AL in overall WAR. But Trout led the American League in batting WAR. So I think that Trout should be MVP.
Yeah.
Best player on the planet. I think Betts' time is soon, but it's not quite yet, in my opinion. How about the NLCS? Brewers versus Dodgers. You've been watching much of that?
Watched a few games.
I think
it's going to go Game 7.
I agree. Game 7. I think Game 6 is it tonight? I'm not quite sure. Well, I guess we'll after the video we'll find out. I think that Game 7, obviously, I think Brewers are going to come back on top though.
You think so?
I think that the Dodgers Cinderella. I wouldn't say Cinderella because they're a good team, but they just haven't been a playoff team the past 5 or 6 years. And making it to the World Series last year, that was basically all they could muster. I don't think the LA is going to go back to the World Series this year. I think it's going to be the Brewers because the Brewers have a hungry group. They're tenacious. They've never been to the World Series before. I don't think any of them except for Lorenzo Cain or whoever's been with previous teams. But I know that the Brewers haven't been to the World Series in a long, long time. And that players like Yelich and Cain and Orlando Arcia come through really clutch in the playoffs. I don't think anyone saw him coming through. Jesus Aguilar, Ryan Braun, all that stuff. I think that the Brewers just have that hunger edge over the Dodgers that the Dodgers can't even get.
I think Dodgers are going to step up.
Yeah.
I think they're going to step up.
Okay.
Some big time players.
You see Machado run into Aguilar there?
Yeah.
He got fine. What do you think about that?
I don't know.
I think that was a stupid cheap shot. Because you could tell, man, he went out of his way.
You can tell it's a cheap shot, but still,
it's
October baseball.
With something like that, though, you could crack an ankle or something like that. Sprain an ankle. Aguilar's done.
But you could sprain an ankle just running.
But it wasn't running, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
He was just on first base. He was just playing his position.
But
it's not comparable to Chase Utley breaking Ruben Tejada's leg. But there was still intent behind it, intent to injure.
Yeah.
So I think that Machado was fined, and obviously it wasn't suspendable, but it was something the league did take a look at, and I think that they made the right choice. But I just think there's no room for that. I don't think. So I think Brewers in 7. I think it's gonna be Brewers versus Red Sox.
Nope. Dodgers and Red Sox.
Brewers versus Red
time
Sox.
since 1960. Let's go.
Brewers versus Red Sox, and the Red Sox are not going to come out top.
No, it's got to be a history game. Dodgers
I
Sox.
don't think so. No,
yeah,
no,
it's
no.
got to be. It's going to fall into place.
This will be a history game, though, for the Brewers.
It's not going back into the years.
You know why? MLB doesn't want that, though.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
Milwaukee's a small market team.
Yeah.
Dodgers are a big market team. Travel would be better for both teams if Milwaukee was in the World Series, though, I tell you that.
Who cares about travel?
Oh, you know what I mean? Who cares about travel? They're traveling all the time. Traveling really takes a toll on some people. Anyways, that is all of our topics for today. Thank you, Bubba, for having us.
Hey, it's a pleasure. I love being on the shows.
Outside the Lines. We hope you have you back more than once after this. And thank you all at home for joining us. And we hope you have a good night. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Have a good one, guys.